From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hi, I'm Stephen Uden, and welcome to another very interesting episode of Around Foxborough. I'd like to thank Paul in our engineering booth for keeping the show running so well, and Jury Love, our producer, for putting together such interesting guests I am blessed to interview. And tonight, I am interviewing a very interesting, knowledgeable gentleman who reenacts, among others, John Adams and Paul Revere. And I'd like to welcome you to the show. If you would, please tell our viewers your real name and just a little bit about you, and then we'll get into what you do.
Certainly.
You're in period haberdashery, I guess you could
Sure.
say, and costume, and it's very interesting to see. But it's not your real hair that we're looking at right now.
No, I haven't had real hair for a very long time.
Okay,
Yes.
tell me your name and how if you live around town and that sort of thing, so the viewers know. We'll put it up on the screen.
My name is Micael Lepage. Mm-hmm. My wife Anne Marie and I live on Mechanic Street, right down the street. Have for a number of years, and we got married in 2018. And right around that time, just before that, we moved to Foxborough, and we really love it here.
Great. And that's one of the things about Around Foxborough. We're around Foxborough, but sometimes we're really in Foxborough,
Yes.
and that's where you and I are. Is what you're doing what we would call a performance art or a hobby or a profession? How do you carry this historical reference out for yourself?
Very loosely, because I've been doing it for 30 years.
Wow.
And when I broke into it, and it seems like it was just yesterday, I was a red coat, and I was invited by a gentleman named Winston Stone to join a British regiment, the 1st Foot Guards. So it was, in that term that you used, a hobby. Going out on weekends and...
In the field mock battles, right?
Right. Setting
Really?
up camps, trying to look as military as possible while still having a good time, having reenactments and displays for people to see. And then I met some people along the way who guided me towards playing roles, playing people, such as Paul Revere and John Adams. So it has become, you might say, performance-based and a profession, both.
Right. You're acting, but it's kind of a different kind of acting.
It
right?
is.
The period costume that you're wearing, and we'll show more of it as the show goes on.
Sure.
But it's really interesting. It's nice to see you in it. And how did you get that? Do you buy them, or do you have people make them for you? And are you in a winter or a summer outfit? Can you tell me a little bit
Sure.
about the costuming that you have here?
Well, first I have to give credit to whom it's due, and that would be a gentleman from this very town of Foxborough named Tom Dietzel.
Really?
Who both of us are in the End Zone Militia together for Patriots games and Revolution games.
Oh, you're with those fellas there at the end, the Colonial Boys.
And we've had a better year than last year,
Okay.
to be quite honest.
Yep.
But Tom grew up in Foxborough and went to school here, and I've known him for a number of years. And just before I was going to be married historically,
Yeah.
this is a little bit of an interesting story. My wife and I were married in June of 2018,
Okay.
June 2nd to be exact. And then a year later, for all of our historical friends, reenactors, we got married at Old Sturbridge Village.
There you go.
In the summer of 2019.
No kidding.
And Tom made the suit. He made the coat, the waistcoat, and the breeches. And it was ready just in time for the wedding. In fact,
I'll be darned.
he arrived with it the very day we were going to be married.
And what about the footwear? How does that come about?
Well, the footwear...
Because I'm wearing shoes right now,
Right.
but they don't have big buckles on them, and they're not uncomfortable, but practical.
Well, I can be... Indeed. And, I find out when I'm in the end zone for Patriots games, just how I need to have layers underneath the shoes for warmth. But I guess the best way to describe everything from the suit that Tom made to the stockings, to the shoes, to everything else is the wonderful thing about this hobby. There is someone that has an interest and they'll make the shoes. They'll make the suits, they'll make the hats, they'll make the canes. Ladies wear. There are people that make ladies' clothing, which my wife had the opportunity to dress up for our second wedding.
Does she reenact at all?
If I prompt her.
Or does she support you in this, if you will, art form?
Oh, she loves it. It was one of the things that got us together.
Really?
I worked with her mother at the Registry of Deeds in Dedham, Norfolk County.
Yep.
And her mother would always see me reading a history book of some sort. And she said, "You've got to meet my daughter, Anne Marie. She loves this stuff."
You're a nice young man.
So well, that's how we got together. She loves this stuff.
That's really interesting.
Her favorite time period is the 17th century, the time of the Pilgrims and the Puritans and all of that. But I occasionally can get her to dress up.
That's really interesting. One last thing about the garments and that you have on. The wig, right? The wig, excuse my historical ignorance, even though I'm a Norwood boy and a New England boy in the heart. Is that a ceremonial period wig, or is that what the hair of who you reenact actually looked like growing out of their head?
Well, that is a great question.
Thank you. That's what they pay me huge money here as a volunteer for. Go on.
Indeed. Well, I get to talk about one of my two favorites that I play, John Adams. John Adams lost his hair more and more as he got older and older from being young and out of college, and it's pretty much what happened to me. And so this wig here is a legal wig to be worn in court.
I was wondering that if it was something that you dusted and you wore ceremonially in something.
And I also wear it because at some point wigs went out of fashion, and as John Adams became an old man, he didn't wear a wig anymore except for formal occasions. He would dress his hair as best he could, and the fun part is he would be bald, of course, but on the side he grew his hair out. So I'm trying to either show that I'm in court with my legal wig or trying to look like older John with the big puffy hair along the sides. If you see portraits of him as president, that's how you see him. You see him bald with big puffy hair along the sides.
Which was how God made him, right? That's at the time. So the wig that the men would wear at the time, was there a style like you're a judge, you're a representative, you're a secretary of defense or whatever?
Yes.
Are there styles that identify who is who in the zoo?
Oh, definitely, because
aristocrat versus, say, the common man or something like that.
Common people did not wear wigs. The only common people who might wear wigs were soldiers in, say, a British regiment if their colonel ordered them to. Or for formal occasions. But for the most part, wigs were about status.
That's what I'm getting at.
Was about status. How you spoke was about status. So there would be a particular wig for a lawyer. There would be a particular wig for a doctor. There would be a particular wig for a minister as well.
Very interesting. I never knew that. I suspected it, but I never knew that. While we're on the artistic costuming that you have on here, the period, you have a couple of accessories down here that I think would be nice to talk about. Could you say maybe grab the tricorn first and explain a little bit about that, or the walking stick if you'd like?
Let me move the cane because I have a feeling if I grab the hat, the cane will be knocked over. It was actually called, in those days, it was called a cocked hat.
Could you spell that?
C-O-C-K-E-D. Just
a cocked
the way
hat.
it sounds. It's called a cocked hat.
What, did it resemble a chicken in some way? No disrespect.
No, it just means that when you wear it, it looks like it's cocked. See, if you see the front piece is over to the side.
We're such an agrarian historical community. I didn't know if there was some kind of agrarian reference to it. Okay.
No, that's why it was called a cocked hat. And, of course, every piece of clothing, as we just discussed, there was status. This is actually, for upper class, rather simple. And the reason why I had it made this way by another historical friend, Matthew Brankel, who is in the hobby and makes hats professionally, is because I'm not a millionaire and I need a hat to play John Adams and Paul Revere. He made the hat so that I could play both of them wearing this hat.
So it matched their, if you will, status in the community. Right. So what's that sort of button, and tilt it to the inside for a minute and just tell us a little bit about the shape and why it's shaped like that, and why and what might adorn a hat for a man of that stature of that hat.
Well,
if you care to.
Sure. Now, if this were a soldier's hat, there would be a cockade in here.
Is that a symbol
for the British
of military?
Army? Like a piece of, I guess I would call, cloth that would be right in through here. There's actually a tune called Black Cockade.
Okay.
And that would be more of a military thing.
On the back, I saw 2 slits, I think.
It ties up the ends.
Oh, it's structural.
It's structural.
Okay, I didn't know if it kept you on your costume during, or a person wearing it in the high winds of the day or something like that.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, and I'll put it back on to show you. This is all about style.
Okay.
All about style. As soldiers would find out, marching in the field, not so much, but if they were in rough terrain, if they had to go through a forest, does this look like it would perhaps maybe bump a branch or 2 or 3? So and if you're also handling a musket and you're moving it from left to right, you can also bump the hat that way.
I'll be darned.
So
could you keep it on for a minute?
Sure.
I know this sounds trite, but you became very different looking once you adorned the hat. And actually, if you will, it brought the whole thing together.
The clothing does that.
Yes, of course. And people know what a clothes hound I am, right? But no, that's really an interesting tie-in to the sincerity of what you do. And we'll start talking about that shortly, about your reenactments. Right, that's really neat. What other things do you have? You can put the hat back down if you
certainly.
Want. Or keep it on if you feel comfortable. It's entirely up to you.
I can also give a shout out, since we're exposing my wig again, to another friend, Audrey Stuck-Gerard, who plays Abigail Adams with me.
Really?
She works, has a family, and she also has a wig business.
For historical recreation?
She makes them, dresses them, styles them, and her new projects for me are, she wants to, and I'm not sure how she's going to do this, she's going to make a wig for older John that looks like I'm bald on top with the puffs on the side.
Very clever.
I can't wait to see how that turns out.
Yep, it's only a paper moon shining over a cardboard sea. What else do you have there?
I have a pair of gloves. Calfskin gloves. Again.
Calfskin. And so those are period specific.
They are, and they're also, once again, status.
Ah, okay. Like
you wouldn't see a farmer wearing gloves like this.
Okay.
Nor a hat like this to a certain point. Well, you might, but it would be a simpler hat. And of course, as I mentioned, I also play Paul Revere when I wear this hat. But he was middle class, but he was upper middle class.
Would the gloves be worn, this is a ridiculous question, in all seasons, or were they part of the presentation of the status of the man? Say, if you went to a wedding in the spring or in the summer, would you still adorn the gloves for some part of a ceremony? Or are they just for cold weather?
You could, but they're more of an outdoor glove.
They're for gloving.
But they're also stylish.
Very cool. And what's the last piece you have to discuss?
Well, this is a cane and also a piece of status. This is, once again, a wheelwright or a farmer or someone that's a cordwainer with shoes would not have a cane. They're middle class, and sailors and dock workers would be lower class, so they would not have a cane. This is, again, it's a status symbol.
Interesting. So needed or not needed, one still might carry a cane.
Right. I mean, in today's world, there are people, I mean, it's like the car you drive, the clothes you wear,
Sure.
everything in life, the house you live in. No different then, only a little bit more stratified, I would say, then than it is now.
It's the Rolex of walking canes.
Exactly.
What's that made out of? Is that historically accurate? I see a bone handle and a brass.
Bone handle with a brass tip. I believe it's walnut.
So was that made by a historian?
Yes.
Recreationist of some kind? Yeah.
By a company that goes way back in the hobby named G. Gedney Godwin.
Here in the U.S. or over in Europe?
Valley Forge, Pennsylvania.
I'll be
of all
darned,
places.
really?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. So let's, if we could, talk about your characters. Do you have a preferred character you like to do? And I'm sure you do both of them well, but let's start with John Adams, because I think we could learn more about him, as Paul Revere is almost, in the DNA of us
Yes.
Yankees up this way. But let's start with John Adams. How did you come to be interested in him and recreating his presence for us?
Well, I inherited the role from those two gentlemen I mentioned, Ed Page and Tom Macy at Adams National Park, and they were both fabulous. And I learned a lot from them. In fact, this wig was inherited from Ed Page, and Tom Macy and the lady who played Abigail Adams with him by the name of Pat Bridgman made sure that I got, when he passed, his John Adams trunk and tabletop desk.
The actual
Well, no.
recreational, if you will, props or set pieces, if you will.
Yeah. Oh, to have the original.
Do you have
Adams
have any original Adams memorabilia of any kind, of tie clip or cufflinks or whatever one might have?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Those are all safely stored at Adams National Historical Park.
Oh, really?
Where I have the privilege to work.
Really? And do you work there often?
I do, all throughout the season.
Really?
It depends on staffing, but I can be there anywhere from April to October. And this year it's been over the summer. But I don't usually appear at Peacefield, which is the house that everyone knows, the famous one, when he was president. But the birthplace during the American Revolution, where he lived when he wasn't going to Europe. And I actually perform as part of the tours in his law office.
Do you, when you're, say, at the museum or working, if you will, do you break character or do you remain in character the whole time?
When I'm on playing him, I try very hard to stay in character, whether it's John Adams or it's Paul Revere. There are times, and sometimes you're at the mercy of the crowd.
Sure.
And there was one program we did over the summer, and I was with Audrey Stuck-Gerard, who plays Abigail Adams, and we were together, and they were having tours going on, and we were sitting out on the lawn, and we told people, now this is 1775, so we're talking about the events that just happened after the Battle of Lexington and Concord and the Battle of Bunker Hill. And
not romanticized either. Those were terrible days, and lots of lives were lost, and
they were.
It was a terrible time.
It was. And of course, inevitably, people come up and say, hello, President Adams, sending us ahead a few years. So we said, you know what, we're flexible enough that we'll set a time that we're going to talk, but if people move on from it, we will too. And there are times where we don't even set a time together and we just talk.
Okay. Have you ever met in your performance anybody interesting that you never thought you would meet while doing your recreation, historical recreation? Did you ever meet, like, say, a president that might have come, or a dignitary or somebody that you wouldn't expect to see, but here you are?
There have been some interesting people on tours. More people that come from around the world to places like Adams National Park or the Paul Revere House. I've met descendants
Really?
of both John Adams and Paul Revere.
I'll be darned.
On occasion.
Really?
Which is fascinating. And, of course, I'm always worried. I'm like, well, I hope they think I'm good.
Right,
and
of course.
I've always gotten compliments for playing those men from members of the family when I've had the chance to meet them. I did have the occasion at a dinner at the old State House, and I got to partake of it with them. It was a business organization, and one of the members was Paul Tagliabue, one-time NFL commissioner.
Okay.
And he was just an ordinary guy, and we had dinner, and it was based on President Obama's first inauguration dinner.
Really?
And
it was part of that whole...
Right. I said a few words, and it's pretty nice when the commissioner of the NFL, recently retired in those days, tells me I did a good job.
Well, that's terrific. We'll say with John Adams, but I want to ask how you connected to also doing Paul Revere. What chose you to choose these two men?
Because they're very human, both of them. John Adams could be ill-tempered, could be judgmental, but also had a warm heart, which comes out in his letters. And the same is true of Paul Revere. Very headstrong and independent-minded, but also a family man. And the one thing, more than anything, that I love about both of them is their honesty. Now, not so much with Paul Revere, because there weren't as many letters, because, he was originally what they would call a mechanic in the upper echelon as a master goldsmith.
Right. Very interesting,
silversmith.
very interesting man, yeah.
But and I've discovered, and I think this is because I've been doing this for 30 years and playing them for most of that time, is I've discovered that they get more interesting with age. John Adams as vice president and president, and with Paul Revere. If I say Paul Revere to you, what's the first thing that you think of?
Pewter. Sorry.
Silver,
The
Midnight
horse
Ride.
But I love his Smith work, his pewter work, yeah.
And the fascinating thing about Paul Revere is after the war years, which were not good for him, he went on to all sorts of new trades and became rather wealthy for it.
He was almost Jeffersonian in his, if you will, breadth of interests,
Yes, but he did not like Jefferson.
Okay.
Because Jefferson was not a Federalist. He was a Democratic Republican, and he was more about rights to the states. And Paul Revere was a Federalist because the Federalists were building up manufacturing and industry, which is what he was into. He was a Federalist because President Washington and then President Adams were all about building up industry, and for President Adams, building the Navy, which made Paul Revere much more upper class than he was when he began life.
Well, I guess it's good that he wasn't too keen on him, because they didn't live real close to each other anyway, so they didn't have to interact. Would you, if you can, give me or the viewers a taste of sort of a John Adams monologue, or some wise or kind words that tap into who you want us to know him by? Obviously, we don't have a lot of time on the show, but is there a brief little, I don't know, oratory you could do, or tell
certainly.
a story or something?
Well, I could tell a story.
In character.
Well, Congress was in session, and there was a need, an immediacy to declare independence. Mm-hmm. And there were those who were still very much of the middle way, which I believe is no way at all. We needed to declare our independence. We needed to have each state draft a constitution, which would have us travel down the road towards forming a government should we win our independence. If we do not declare our independence now, why would soldiers fight for us? Why would France come in as our ally, as we wish them to aid us in this war? We must declare our independence now. And I think of the day that I spoke on July 1st, after John Dickinson of Pennsylvania, tall, slender, fellow lawyer, eloquent, gave a speech against independence at this time, that if we declare our independence now, we are braving a storm on a skiff made of paper, and that we could fail. And I
love that.
Had to speak immediately after that because there was a profound silence. Now, lucky for you, sir, I will not speak as long as I spoke that day. Do you know how long I spoke?
I don't.
On July 1st? For 2 hours. I do not think we have that amount of time.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But what I reminded my fellow delegates in Philadelphia at that Congress was that I opened by saying I wished I had the gift of oratory of the ancient philosophers, because no duty is more important than the one that we have right now. We have the power to vote upon forming a new government, a representative government, a republic. Nothing could be more important than that. No people have had the opportunity that we have had to start a country anew. People over the centuries have had no more to do with forming a government than judging of the weather. We owe it to those who settled these shores before us, and we owe it to those who follow us to declare our independence now while things are in a good light and fight for our independence.
Impressive. Did he speak those extemporaneously, or did he write them? Or a little bit of everything? Because we're almost out of time. We haven't even touched Paul Revere this time. I'm going to see if we could do another show with you about Paul Revere.
Certainly.
But that was, you became him. So,
well, thank you.
But we have to go now. And I'm really sorry that we have to go because there's so much more we can talk about. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, sir.
And we will say goodbye to everybody tonight. And again, we'll thank Paul in the engineering booth and our producer, Jerry Love, and our very interesting guest. I'm Steve Uden. God bless you. Thank you. And we'll talk to you soon again.